10,000 people have died from the coronavirus. Up to 100,000 people could die from the coronavirus in Spain. 100,000 people have been laid off, have lost their job in Spain since the start of the coronavirus crisis. This is going to be the worst economic depression that the world has seen probably for a century. If you go out in the street, you could be fined 600 euros. Your family could be affected by the coronavirus. It could affect you and your loved ones. If at least one of those things caused you a little sense of anxiety, then you are what is technically known as normal. Because we are living with a lot of news right now, whether we look for it ourselves or we receive it secondhand from other people, we're living with a sense of fear, of anxiety around what is going on. I was speaking to a friend earlier, and she meditates regularly, and she gets adjusted regularly. In fact, she's a member of our wellness club, and she lives a really healthy lifestyle. And she said to me that no matter how much she concentrated on being positive, when she paused for a moment in her day and took a deep breath, she realized that she was carrying a background anxiety the whole time. So, it's time to remind ourselves. In one of our classes we go over this, but it's time to remind ourselves. Our nervous systems grow first and foremost to defend us, to allow us to survive to the end of the day. In defense mode, our immune system gets shut off, our ability to grow gets shut off, our ability to recuperate and heal gets shut off, our ability to procreate and love even gets shut off, our digestive system gets shut off. And when we stay in a chronic state of stress, and even if it's a milder chronic state of stress, we run out of adrenaline, and we start to produce that lovely hormone that you may have heard about called cortisol. Cortisol is an underlying cause of many, many diseases, but the fundamental thing about cortisol is that it turns off your immune system. So, we get a choice. Do we live in survival mode, shrinking, getting smaller? Or do we make a choice that that's not good for us, we want something different, and we're going to live in growth, in prosperity, in love? And so these two emotions both drive each of these nervous system states, and these two emotions both come from these two nervous system states. When we worry, our nervous system worries, and then it's more difficult not to worry. When we go into love, our nervous system goes into love, and then it's more easy to love. So, if we choose to live out of this state, we will constantly be immunosuppressed and be more susceptible to things like the coronavirus. We will constantly look to eat foods which give us a quick fix, which have got sugar or alcohol or fats in them. So the thing is, if we want to stay in a state of greater love and greater growth, we have to firstly let go of the stuff that's holding us back. And right now, no matter how much we try to stay positive, there will be, for most of us, something that's holding us back. So I'm going to share with you a technique, and this is a technique which I find it amazingly powerful, but I have to confess, I find it very boring. I'm going to do my first video about a detailed topic in this practice about something very boring. Why is it boring? Because you've got to sit down with a bit of paper, and you've got to write stuff down, and it feels lame. But once it's done, whatever you've written down, you will feel different about it. This technique we're going to go through has saved me in moments of personal crisis and personal angst on many occasions in the past. So the work is generated out of the works of a lady called Byron Katie, and you can look up her works online. We'll send a link if you want. Her work is a little bit different. This is my simplified version that I use on a daily basis, and we're just going to go through it very briefly. First thing is, we ask ourselves and we write down, what is the theory? What am I worried about? Is it I'm worried about not paying my bills? Is it I'm worried about getting the coronavirus? Is it that I'm worried about my father or my mother getting the coronavirus? Am I worried about losing my physical shape that I have worked so hard to get now that I can't exercise as I would usually do? And you write it down, and then you ask yourself why. And you ask yourself why, and you ask yourself why, and you ask yourself why, until you get down to the core of it. Because I really love my parents and I'm scared of losing them. Because my physical fitness is a really important part of my identity, and without that I feel like I can't go out in public. Whatever it is, you get down to the why. That's the first thing. Then you move on to the second point, and this is the big question, is it true? can you factually prove it? And the answer is always going to be no, because it's a matter of opinion. These are all, we're worrying about a fear of a risk of something happening. So you can say it's a risk, but it's not something that's actually going to happen. So the theory is what's going to happen, and the truth, is it true? It's probably not true. So then the question is, that version of the truth, the thing that we're worrying about, how does that make us feel? Does that make us feel abundant? Does that make us feel strong? Does that make us feel like we're ready to take on the world? Or does that make us feel like we're in a session of shrinking? Does that make us feel like we're in a state of defense? Does that make us feel like drinking wine and eating ice cream and curling up in a ball and staying there until our wife or husband tells us that we need to get out of bed and change our pajamas and get showered because it's been a week since we washed? So, how does it make us feel? The next question, the fourth question is there another truth? What would be another truth? What if this same thing were happening to another person? What if I asked my best friend what they think about the situation? What would be an alternative? And it doesn't matter whether or not you believe it or not, you have to write down another truth, another alternative, and even maybe more than one. There might be a number of other truths. There might be the possibility that I'm going to stay fit, and actually I'm going to even get fitter during this period because I'm going to be able to do a different type of exercise. I'm going to do much more stretching because I'm going to be at home and I've got my bed. I love stretching on my bed. Or is it that I'm going to be able to pay my bills because I'm actually going to get all my bills in order because I'm going to finally get down to cancelling all those direct debits that I had that I didn't need, etc., etc. Or is it that my parents are going to survive because most people are going to survive and they're going to be fine. They're going to be... There are a whole load of possibilities for an alternative truth. And then we simply write down how that alternative truth makes us feel. We go through it. Well, actually, that makes me feel relieved. Actually, that makes me feel like, yeah, I've actually done a lot to invest in my health and my body. And actually, at this stage in life, I think I'm better off than most people I know. I've been getting adjusted regularly. I've been exercising. I've been stretching. Whatever it is that I've been doing. And actually, yeah, now I feel much more confident than I did before. So, this process, the inquiry work, these 5 questions to me, as I say, can change our attitude entirely. Something. You need a bit of paper, you need a pen, and you need a little bit of time. But I would suggest that all of us go and just do this exercise this evening and see how it fits. See if it works for you. I'm not saying it's going to be comfortable doing it, but see how you feel about whatever that thing you might be worried about was afterwards. So, thank you for listening. Click on that subscribe button. I think there might be a subscribe button on this video. I think that things like that happen automatically in the world of YouTube. And most importantly, please, please, please stay positive, because staying positive is staying healthy.